Welcome everyone to my review of issue 12 of the Archie Sonic comic series. Today's outing features 3 longer stories, as opposed to the usual 2 and some gag shorts. Without further ado, let's get started. Sonic wheelbarrows in parts from all the robots he's recently trashed in front of Robotnik, just to rub it in the Doc's face. His rambling about how Sonic beats him time after time after time gives him an idea. Sonic returns to Knothole in time for Tails to take him to Sally. She shows the two a Robotnik broadcast, which reveals a new chainsaw machine that can tear down the Great Forest in no time. Sonic immediately springs into action. If you recall issue 8, Robotnik also used a broadcast of him ruining the environment to lure Sonic out. Then he'd spring the real weapon on him. Apparently Sonic didn't learn from the Superbots because he falls for it again. This time Robotnik transforms his chainsaw machine into a time tunnel machine. Sonic is zapped back through the ages until he arrives in prehistoric Mobius. Some dinosaurs go after him, but they soon learn the hard way why it's not a good idea to try and eat something that can turn into a buzzsaw. Sonic then encounters a friendly yet familiar face. Son-Ugg the Bog Hog. No hedges in this time period, only volcanoes and bogs. Even though he is barefooted, Son-Ugg is just as fast as Sonic. They speed past an area where Son-Ugg's arch enemy, Robotnik, launches a boulder from a catapult at the two, and it appears to flatten them. Robotnik celebrates the two's demise, while back in the present, Robotnik celebrates being rid of Sonic once and for all. He even publicly displays the time tunnel machine to celebrate the occasion. This will prove to be a big mistake as the Freedom Fighters rush in to avenge Sonic. Robotnik is oddly frightened of them. Then again, the group is very mad, and mad people can be dangerous. Plus, Bunny's among them. The last time the two encountered each other, it ended badly for Robotnik. In the past, Sonic and Son-Ugg survived the boulder by burrowing underground. They head for Son-Ugg's place, where he introduces him to his version of the Freedom Fighters. They plan to eat this rotten velociraptor egg, but Sonic suggests going outside for something else. The word outside gives the prehistoric group the shakes. Son-Ugg explains they don't like the outside due to all the dangers like dinosaurs and Robotnik. In fact, they plan to go deeper underground. Sonic's not a fan of that. He wants the group to go outside and enjoy the fresh air and use hedges to hide from the dangers. Sonic leads the group outside so he can help them create those hedges out of some bushes. Everyone seems happier outside, and they will adapt to this new situation. Sonic is pulled forward through the ages until he returns to the present, his Freedom Fighters having successfully stolen Robotnik's time tunnel machine. And the story ends with the prehistoric Freedom Fighters still planting bushes, as well as doing some fourth wall breaking to suggest that readers write in so that they can return someday. Sorry, unlike Pseudo-Sonic, these guys won't come back. Our second story begins with Sonic falling off a cliff because he wasn't paying attention to where he's going. He winds up in a nest belonging to an elderly eagle named Cyril. Sonic explains he was flying away to avoid Robotnik's forces, and the old bird goes into a rage when hearing that name. Cyril was once the leader of a large flock of eagles until Robotnik captured everyone and roboticized them. Only Cyril escaped, and he's been hiding in the mountains ever since. Too bad that hiding spot is about to be discovered. Sniffly picks up a faint signal in the mountains, and Robotnik plans to travel there in his newest vehicle, the Rambot. Back over to the mountains, Cyril says ever since he lost his flock, and because he's old, he's given up flying. Sonic says just because all that stuff happened shouldn't mean you should give up on life in general. He encourages Cyril to fly again, and the eagle does, for a few seconds. Cyril's able to use his wings to slow his descent, but laments that his time in the air and his life might be over. That's when he notices some eagles behind him, members of his flock. Seems Robotnik didn't get them all. Like Cyril, they assumed the old guy was roboticized, and they hid themselves in the mountains. At Cyril's nest, Sonic's a bit down about forcing the bird to fly. Well, he has something else to worry about when Robotnik and Sniffly arrive in the Rambot, wearing yodeling outfits for some reason. Sonic mocking said outfits earns him a headbutt off the cliff. Cyril arrives in time to save him. Robotnik and Snivelly get their comeuppance as the Rambot's too heavy for the cliff to hold. Cyril's so excited about finding surviving members of his flock that it gave him the will to fly again. And it's all thanks to Sonic. All Sonic wants in return is for Cyril to take him home. Our third and final story starts with Robotnik's SWAT bots attempting a raid on small animals, and Sonic and the Freedom Fighters thwarting those attempts. Sally detects someone up in the tree who refuses to come down. Sonic runs up and sees a lynx. His name is Larry, and according to him, he's super jinxed, bringing misfortune to everyone he meets. For example, the branch the two are on breaks and lands on the Freedom Fighters below. Everyone but Larry is injured, and Sally doesn't want to risk Larry the Jinx hanging around Knothole, so she orders Sonic to take him somewhere else to hide. Sonic's not a fan of this idea. He's going to find a way to break Larry's bad luck streak, even if it kills him. While the two are finding a cave for Larry, they spot the SWAT bots from earlier, and they've successfully captured the injured Freedom Fighters. Larry blames himself for this, but Sonic has the idea of redirecting his bad luck towards a different party. He has Larry walk towards two of the SWAT bots, and they slam into each other trying to grab him. The third SWAT bot tries zapping Larry with the magnetizer, but the beam bounces off the rocks around Larry and destroys the SWAT bot. As Sonic grabs the magnetizer to free his friends, Robotnik arrives and is ready to run over him. Larry steps in front of the vehicle, the bad luck forcing Robotnik to crash into a rock. Sonic believes with the bad guys getting all the bad luck, with the side effect of the heroes getting good luck, Larry's curse is broken. To prove this, Larry and Rotor play round after round of chess, and Larry wins every single time. At least he's not causing any more physical injuries. For the comic series' first foray into time travel, the tone is a bit on the silly side. Now who am I kidding, I shouldn't be surprised at this point since Mike Gallagher penned this one. It's another tale that wouldn't feel out of place in the adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. Actually, that series did a time travel story, a 4-part arc that has Robotnik traveling to different time periods to gather 4 Chaos Emeralds, with Sonic and Tails trying to stop him. And no joke, I find that time travel story much better than this one, mainly because it was spread across 4 episodes, which allowed some breathing room. As for this tale, we're dealing with the old main character going back to the past and meeting identical ancestors cliché. The reason Sonic's ancestor has an old man beard is because they don't want to confuse the young kids, maybe? Anyway, back to this being a cliché. Here's a quick example of this in other media. A Mighty Morphin Power Rangers episode had the pink Power Ranger Kimberly accidentally sent back to the Wild West and meeting identical versions of her peers. Some of them she made into Power Rangers to stop Lord Zed from meddling in the past. Like Sonic, she was eventually pulled back into the future thanks to her friends. This will not be the last time I cite Power Ranger examples in these reviews. Sonic's friends are the real heroes of the story. If they weren't motivated to charge towards Robotnik and steal his time machine, Sonic would have spent the rest of his days in prehistoric Mobius. At the very least, he can teach the prehistoric Freedom Fighters gardening techniques and other aspects of the outdoors. I think that's the message of the story. Sure, you can be safe inside, but if you want to live your life, go outside. At times it will be dangerous, but that is life. I realize as I am saying this, right now, at the time of this video's upload, the world's a bit topsy-turvy. Final score for the story is a 5. Another average tale. I will say that even though Mike Gallagher wrote this one is less goofy, outside of the fourth wall breaking moments, due to Art Monhenny penciling it. Again, buying into the theory that art can help set a story's tone. By the way, this is the first issue entirely penciled by Art. Before moving on, I have to ask, how can the prehistoric Mobius exist, given what we'll eventually learn down the line? And this event is canon thanks to issue 57, which recaps the series up to that point. There are 2 ways I think this can work, backed up by future knowledge. First, this is the past, set between the first day of Fury, something I'll talk more about in issues 124 and 125, and the second day of Fury, which chronicled the arrival of the Chaos Emeralds. The years are retconned to fit the narrative better. It's during this time frame that dinosaur-like creatures existed on Mobius called Mobosaurs. We'll meet 3 prominent ones in the future. You could say the dinosaurs Sonic met are Mobosaurs, which by the way, the majority of which go bye-bye when the Chaos Emeralds rain down on the planet. I'm sure the ancestors of the heroes and villains survived the event. The second theory is that this is not the past Mobius, but an alternate universe Mobius. The previous issue established the multiverse, and as a future issue reveals, there are variants of Mobius that follow a different theme. It's possible Sonic ended up on a Mobius that was prehistoric. Robotnik could have created a dimensional portal instead of a time portal. Later on in this continuity, there will be times time travel and dimensional travel intertwine. I'm going to combine my thoughts on the next two stories because, when you break it down to the basics, it's the same story. Sonic, while on the run from Robotnik's forces, meets an individual with issues. Sonic decides to help the individual with the issues, and when Robotnik goes after the Hedgehog, the individual, having overcome their issue, saves him. It makes sense in this case because Angelo wrote both stories. Before continuing, I should point out the error in the Story 2 credits. Mike K. and Penders did not write the story. Angelo did. The powers that be even acknowledges this oopsie in issue 14's letter section. Though why they didn't fix this error in the reprints is beyond me. When you add the individual stories on top of the basic outline, I tend to sympathize more with Cyril. He had a community before Robotnik came along and believed all of them were captured. He's then given up on life. It's only when Sonic came along and convinced him to fly again, flying being a metaphor for his life, that he found surviving members of his flock. Coincidence? Possibly. It's also possible since they are members of Cyril's flock, they probably had the same idea he did and hid in the mountains. They just hid in a different part than Cyril. Larry's situation is more lighthearted, but he had his own handicap to deal with in the form of his bad luck, which all he had to do was redirect it at certain individuals to cause good luck for others. Whatever works. I'm giving both stories a 7. Despite the differences in tone, the stories show Sonic's good-hearted nature by trying to help these strangers. We will see Cyril and Larry, especially the latter, in future stories. Speaking of new characters, the next issue, being a loose adaptation of Sonic the Hedgehog 3, will mark the debut of a certain game character. I'll see you then. In hindsight, it's a bit uncomfortable to see Rotor with a back injury.